because we're still under arrears. When you resolve the issues in the middle, right, while you're in housing court, so many months has passed, you have the arrears / the payments within housing court. Does that typically throw a wrench in any progress you get in housing court? Like, I would imagine arrears are just insurmountable for some clients. And I guess, how do they get around that?
Well, one thing you have to consider with New York City specifically, it's different than any other jurisdiction in America because New York City has a right to shelter. And no other place in America has that. So there's a huge government interest in keeping people in their apartment because if they leave, they go to shelter, and getting someone out of shelter or keeping them in shelter is much more expensive than just helping them out to keep them in the apartment. So that's why benefits like one-shot deal and FEPS and city FEPS save money for the government in the long run. So when the arrears have gotten crazy high and a person hasn't been able to save it, but they have a future ability to pay. So like I had a client, this is a client, we had to do 3 one-shot deal applications, but we got it through. The arrears weren't huge, like $8,000, but a typical working person can't afford to pay $8,000. But she was able to pay the rent, which was like $1,500 because she like got her education and she was now like working as like a dental hygienist. She's awesome. So she could pay like the $1,500, which was more than the rent because this was a rent stabilized apartment and she had it for a while. So the government essentially gave her a loan for $8,000 to go to the landlord, and she'll pay the rent going forward, and she'll also pay that $8,000 back to the city over time. So it's a great deal for the city because it's a whole family that keeps in their rent stabilized apartment. They don't have to enter the shelter system, and the city gets the money back.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
So how much can you get on one-shot deals?
It depends.
Yeah.
Can be, because I heard somewhere
They
someone
say-
said 40,000.
I just got one for 58.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's possible.
Yeah, I mean they try to tell you under 20, and if it's more than 20, they try to get contributions from other charitable agencies just to reduce the arrears. But depending on the facts and circumstances, you can get more.
Yeah. It requires, after the 20,000 threshold, a little bit more advocacy because they're concerned more about the prospective ability to pay. They don't want to dole out 50, 60 grand and then you.
Now, who's getting a check?
I mean,
Who is it going straight to where it needs to go, or is someone getting it in their hands and saying
it's going straight to the landlord.
Oh, okay, that's good. I think because you give a guy $50,000, their morality is going to be tested.
It's going, and that's another common misconception. People think that it's going to the tenant. No, this money goes directly to the landlords, right? And whether that's good or not, that's a whole nother question. But I think your point with your client is very important to show like how effective having these one-shot deals and city FEPS applications at reducing the long-term costs. I would go even further and say like, just guarantee housing, right? Just pay for the housing. You're paying way more money having this whole bureaucratic administration of HRA, one-shot deals, and all that. Just pay for the housing.
So what's so funny is I watch a lot of Joe Rogan. I watch a lot of shows.
Yeah.
I could tell.
People talk about the housing crisis and homelessness and like fixing it, not fixing it, and like I think in hearing people talk about it so much at length, I think I know why no state, whether it's California or San Francisco or New York, is truly invested in whatever genius idea. Maybe there's a country that's figured it out, whatever, to actually fixing it. Because I think the reason is that if you actually fix it, however that method is, let's say we're taking over buildings in Manhattan, no one's using them, no one gives a fuck about offices, we're just making them apartments, one homeless person at a time. The problem you have is other states might sit there and go, get the fuck out of here. New York City cured homelessness, go live over there. And it's like, and if we're the only ones doing it, it becomes a thing where it's like, you go through a 6 or 8 month process, but you will have an apartment or home or whatever at the end of this process. It becomes almost too good and it causes more issues than it does solve. I'm not saying that is the solution.
Let's get it straight. The government doesn't care about homelessness. They're in bed with the landlords. They're allowing these landlords to charge these exorbitant prices. They're in with the land developers, and they don't care about keeping roofs over people's heads. When in reality, like, housing is a right. Everybody deserves to have a roof over their head, but that's not what the government cares about. So I don't see a reality in which housing is ever fixed.
Yeah,
For that reason.
For that reason.
there was just a case in the Supreme Court. It was just argued that I believe it was this town in Oklahoma that made outdoor camping illegal in the town. So essentially, it gave their local government power to expel homeless people
From the town.
from the town, and that is why it's in the Supreme Court. Is like, can a jurisdiction essentially exile people
But
for
the
not
funny
being
thing
able?
is, it's illegal in the town. It sounds like I need to go to county jail before you tell me to get the fuck out of town.
And they're
Right?
happy to pay for your health care in jail, for food. I mean, for all intents and it's hell housing, but you
Yeah.
have a roof on your head. And they'll spend the resources and the money for the prison industrial complex, but they won't expend those resources for actually housing people and taking care of people and feeding people on the outside. So again, like you mentioned, this is an issue of choice, whether the government is interested in taking care of people and housing them. They are not.
Yeah.
And that's why it won't happen. I'm of the school of thought that it's going to happen because I have to take that prerogative in order to make it happen. I can't assume the alternative because then when is it ever going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So ultimately speaking, like, housing is a human right, and it needs to be constitutional, and hopefully one day it will. But you're seeing a lot of these types of cases is happening. It's happened in California with the houseless folks in the encampments. There's always been this sort of pending question of whether houseless people have the right to exist
Yeah.
on the streets.